Well, good morning. Happy game day, people. How are you guys doing out there in cyberspace? We are happy to see you at the Saturday morning cocktail kickoff with my boy Daniel from Week Zero Sports Podcast, Justin Riley from the Bama Standard, and myself, Michael. How are you guys doing today?
It's game day, buddy.
It's game day. We're getting there.
Yeah. If anybody notices, our boy Daniel here, he's got a hat on. He looks just a little bit rough. Well, you know what? He's had a tough week. He had a little bit of he had some complications this week. We didn't know if he was going to be here, but our man is here. Petty, how are you feeling today?
Well, you'll know in my Saturday morning cocktail. We'll see if I can make it through this. It's my best day. Yesterday Michael knew, but I didn't sleep the Thursday night, so I went from 6 Wednesday until yesterday at 9 when I finally fell asleep. So I was kind of delirious and insane yesterday, and I was wondering how stupid this was to do. But and I woke up this morning, and now it's just that dull pain where you can actually kind of move.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm getting over the hump.
Well, if you play a lot of sports and you make a lot of effort, out there, you're going to end up with a sports hernia here and there, right, Betty?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So apologize for
popping a homer, popping a hernia. Same. Well, Justin, how was your week, bud?
Yeah, well, it wasn't too bad except for midweek. Hit the car in to get what I thought was a simple oil change. Came out to the wallet getting a beating to the tune of $800 to get three oil leaks fixed.
Oh, gosh. Hey, man, well, you're good for another $100,000 now, right?
Yeah, well, we better hope so. $800 better give me at least that.
Well, on that note, I'm guessing your Saturday morning cocktail's pretty strong because of that, right?
Well, I actually got a kind of a threefold thing. I start out with coffee, as I customarily do.
Sure.
I'm going to move into the Milo sweet tea to keep the voice where it's supposed to be. And then about the time we start talking about Bama, I got the Evan Williams. So yeah, we're ready.
Evan Williams. It must have been a real bad week. What about you, Petty? Are they allowing you to have any cocktails with your cocktail of pain relievers that you got going on?
I've got frozen peas sitting up under me. That is my Saturday morning cocktail.
If anybody's ever listened to WJOX back in the 2015 era, one LT, Lance Taylor, used to talk about getting those bird's eye frozen peas after his vasectomy all the time. I know you didn't have a vasectomy. That's already in the past. But
I had one of those. Check mark there.
Just had peas still in the freezer from the last time?
Yeah. Hey, man, got them on standby. I'm sitting on those currently. That's my Saturday morning cocktail.
Well, I hope they don't melt in the next 2 hours. Hope you can hang in there. But if we lose our boy Petty today, thank you for being here, Petty.
Yeah, I'm going to do what I can.
Well, I've got a special Saturday morning cocktail, but I can't drink because I had my teeth whitened this week, and the son of a bitches won't let me have anything good. So no coffee, nothing brown, no tomato sauce. I've been eating like a second grader for the last few days. Can't even have ketchup for 48 hours, and that 48 hours ends at about kickoff time for Alabama. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to crack open a Hoppy Holidays from a brewery that should have me on the payroll by now, because on our old podcast, I have promoted Noda so much, but it's just so damn good, man. Noda Brewery in Charlotte makes fantastic beers. And this Hoppy Holidays is a kind of a diversion from what you normally get in the Christmas beers. Usually you get dark, spicy, lots of like nutmeg and things like that in your beer, which is good for a beer or two. You can drink a few of these bad boys. They've got your traditional IPA hops flavor in there. Good stuff. So I highly recommend a Hoppy Holidays if anybody can get their hands on one before they are gone.
Absolutely, man, no doubt. Every note of beer you've slinged my way has been pretty good.
Oh, you had your first note of beer was actually a play on Star Wars, because I don't know if anybody out there knows. Petty's a big Star Wars fan, and they have a beer called Boba Brett in there, and it's kind of a farmhouse ale or maybe a sour. It's kind of in that range. It's tart, it's kind of funky, and it's got a picture of like Darth or Boba Fett's helmet on the front of it, whatever. And it's pretty freaking cool. And even if Petty didn't like the taste of it, he acted like he did.
Yeah, I was gonna make myself.
That's awesome. Well, if any of you guys ever get a chance to go up to Noda Brewery in Charlotte, highly recommend that. Never taken anybody there and they've been disappointed, unless of course they don't like beer, which used to be Petty.
Yeah, hey, I like beer. Here's good stuff.
Well, awesome. Well, that's enough of us shooting the shit. Let's talk about last week, guys. We had a couple big stories out there, and there's one of those in particular that, if it wasn't total bullshit, would cut my boy Petty to the heart. But there's been a little rumor out there from some hack journalists that are just trying to get clicks that says if the Miami job opens up, that Lane Kiffin's going to head down there because he loves big crowds, right, Petty?
Oh yeah, he's been complaining about Ole Miss's fan base all year, and he's going to go to Miami where they have a high school fan base. Look, man, is he
Like a
intrigued?
Vandy game.
I don't refute the claims that Lane's intrigued by Miami. I mean,
Right.
of course you're gonna get flirtations. It's down. He's got a house in Boca still. He's got a boat. He loves fishing on the ocean. It's kind of his thing. But I also think Lane is intrigued with competing in the SEC, playing in the best conference, beating the best. He's been at Ole Miss 2 years. I also think Lane's not an idiot. Jumping from school to school every 2 years is not the way you rebuild that reputation. Now, I'm not saying Lane's going to be Nick Saban and be at Ole Miss in 10 years. No, I don't believe that in any measure. But I don't believe it.
Maybe.
Hey, I'd love it. But I also don't think he's going to jump ship at the first, once pretty name. Look, this ain't 1985 or 92 or 2000. Miami ain't been anything in 2 decades. So I don't see it happening. The things that get me is what you're talking about is these reports coming out saying it's a definite. If Miami offers, he's going. Like,
Yeah,
oh, come on.
there are insiders that have confirmed that if it becomes available, Lane Kiffin is on his way. Man, that's BS. It's funny is that when I'm looking at this stuff online, of course, my oldest nephew is a big Ole Miss guy, but he's also a habitual worrier. So I'm getting these text messages all the time.
That explains a lot about you.
Y'all are be good together.
Well,
just for context, everybody doesn't know this. Justin has a complete meltdown during the first drive of every Alabama football game. Unless we drive it down and score a touchdown immediately, it's over. You know what I mean? And I like that. The unjinxing situation,
it's
right?
One of my superstitions. I have to kind of stay with what I do. But anyway,
I knew it.
I'm getting text messages all the time about any kind of anything remotely negative. He's already freaking out that Mississippi State is a 4-point favorite next week. But I'm looking up these analysts that are on these tweets and things he's sending me, and they're like small town UHF station reporters that have barely any hint of a following.
Great movie.
But then I go over to major people like Barrett Saleh, who's sitting here laughing at the very notion that he's considering leaving Ole Miss for a dumpster fire.
Well, look, my take on this is I watched him go to the FAU Owls and stay there, 3 or 4 years. He had offers after year 1 at that place. I think that he's learned, he moved a lot before he came and became our offensive coordinator. Tennessee to USC, had all those problems, caused all that slack, got a really bad reputation. And I think he has done a fantastic job of elevating his reputation back up to the level of a top-tier football coach in college football. And I don't think he's going to jump ship anywhere until he maxes out. And you know what? Nobody knows what the max out of Ole Miss is right now because nobody's ever taken them to that level, at least in our lifetime. As an SEC West school, we saw Petrino go down to Arkansas and turn them into national title contenders. It can be done at Ole Miss, and if anybody can do it, Lane Kiffin can do it. He's on the right track, and I don't think he's going to give up what he's building there, man. It's too good of a fit.
And look, man, this is a PSA. It's your nephew.
Yes.
Look, man, this is uncharted territory for Ole Miss. It kind of happened with Tubby. Every time we get a good coach, man, we're not. Look, man, Alabama, you don't have to deal with this with Nick Saban worrying about him going wherever. But when you get a hot coach, it's a good sign. It means he's doing something really, really good. We're going to have to get thicker skin because it's going to happen every year. Every year when coaching opportunities
welcome
that are viewed bigger than Ole Miss, his name's going to pop up for it. So look, man, you just got to.
They don't even have to be viewed bigger. It's got to be the same plane. I mean, look at the Texas. Look at all the rumors of where Saban's going every year. You know what I mean? And I read another hack journalist. I got to talk about this one because it's hilarious. I read another hack journalist that said since Sarkisian was on the hot seat that him and Saban were going to be switching places in a year or two. And I about fell out of my seat laughing.
Yeah, 7 years old. He's going. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing. You brought up Tuberville. That's a totally different era. Things have changed, and.
Well, I'm talking about Ole Miss fans having thick skin because Tuberville was the first that we had that other teams came after and that we had to deal with. Right. Now, of course, Auburn ended up stealing him.
Taking him.
I get why, but we're a little knee-jerky. But
right.
I get that, but this is a different era. And like I was telling my nephew that, this isn't a stepping stone job. This is a destination job now.
Sure. Yeah.
And
why do you feel that way?
Colors, baby. Just the colors by themselves are destination. Come on.
Let me bring up to this point, too, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. At some point, there's going to be a changing of the guard in the SEC, and what I mean by that is Nick Saban's going to retire. So Lane Kiffin can take that chance, that opportunity to elevate Ole Miss to the upper tier of the SEC West.
Absolutely. Or he could come to Alabama after Saban leaves.
Well, and that plays to a mindset. What do you want to be in life? Do you want to do it at the biggest place and say I did it where the greatest have done it? Or do you want to do something that's never been done and say, hey, I did something that nobody could do? It's just a mindset thing. But also, I hope it's the latter, of course. But
well, I think just doing it's the big deal. And most people like just being able to do it to get to that natty or whatever is a big deal. Most coaches never get there.
He's got us in a position right now to do something that's never been done in the history of Ole Miss football, and that's win 10 regular season games. We've won 10, but it's always taken a bowl game to get there.
Take the damn bet, Petty. Do you remember that episode where I told you Ole Miss over 7.5? Take the damn bet. LSU under 8.5. Take the damn bet. I still haven't got paid for it yet because they got to play all 12 games, and I'm sure some dumb shit's going to happen, a hurricane or something, to ruin these bets for me. But they're sitting there one until they get paid out. Very excited.
I was excited about that.
Well, guys, speaking of national championships, the playoff rankings seem to be coming into focus a little bit more. Have you guys paid attention to what they put out on Tuesday, and what are your thoughts?
I've got a top 4. But mine's a final top 4. I thought.
Well, I'll tell you what. At the end of this, when we stop talking about this, we'll let you do your top 4 now and your final top 4. How about that?
All right.
Why don't you give me your thoughts on where everything stands right now? Which teams do you think have the biggest chance of getting there, and which teams do you think are what team in the top 6 absolutely not going to the playoffs?
Cincinnati.
Well done.
I mean, that's just called what it
Okay,
is.
Cincinnati top 7. Let's do that. Everybody knows Cincinnati's not going. They've done the best they could do. The rest of their games suck. There's nothing they can do to get in. I don't think. It'd take a lot of losses.
If you want to argue the point, just look at the strength of schedule. They're ranked 100th against the other teams.
You're telling me UAB's schedule is much harder than theirs, right?
It typically.
Who's the 4th team then?
Ohio State.
So wait a minute. Are y'all both putting Alabama and Georgia in this thing? Let's hear it. Let's hear what y'all got. I want to hear yours first, Petty. You're shaking your head. Who do you think right now should be the top 4, and who do you think is going to be in the playoff at the end of the year?
No, I'll let you, man. Who do I think should be the top 4 right now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now it should be UGA. I think UGA, Ohio State, Bama, Oregon.
All right.
That's who I think are playing in the order of best.
Eye testing right now. That's what you're basing that on.
Well, and Oregon's in there just because of wins right now, though. I'm not really sold on Oregon. They hadn't looked all that great, have they?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that Oregon team later today. They may not be in the conversation after today based on what we're seeing. Yeah.
Who really outside of Georgia has looked great this year? There really hasn't been like a dominant team that's heads and tails above everybody else, with the exception of
teams
Georgia.
Flash.
Yeah, it's just not as sexy this year, the teams. But my top 4, Georgia, of course. I agree with you. Ohio State number 2, Oregon number 3, Alabama number 4.
Well, I for one believe in head-to-head, so I'm going to say Georgia number 1. Obviously, I mean, no brainer. All right, number 2, 3, 4. You can mix these up anyway, except for Oregon's got to be ahead of Ohio State in my book. They beat their ass at home. Okay, they're the end. Like, they are ahead of them until the end. I don't care how many chump teams Ohio State beats up on after that. They got their ass beat at home by that team. If Texas A&M was 10-1 right now and they had beaten us at home, then I'd sure as hell be putting them above us.
Okay, I was about to ask. So who do you think would win that game right now between Ohio State and Oregon?
Between Ohio State and Oregon, I think Oregon wins the game again.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, C.J. Stroud has come along a little bit. He's gotten better, but there's nothing. He's no touch. He has 0 touch on the ball, and Oregon just played in between the receivers and the quarterback, and it was hard for him to play. So I think they could pull the same thing exactly. If they played again, they'd have to go to Oregon to do it, right? Because it wouldn't be fair to play them again in the horseshoe. So yeah, I think Oregon beats them again.
Okay. Hey, man.
Speaking of Oregon,
go with it.
I want to ask y'all a question. Who's playing better right now, Kayvon Thibodeau or Will Anderson?
Will Anderson.
Ooh.
Thibodeau has really been getting a lot. I mean, listen, the guy is.
Nobody's better than Will Anderson for me. I mean, look what color shirt I'm wearing.
Is the dude right now.
Look at this one. Coach Smoot, UGA 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Bama 4. anybody that puts Ohio State over Oregon at this juncture right now, I think is how can you even think about doing that? I just don't understand.
Well, Ohio State is playing a lot more impressive right now than Oregon is. Oregon's been.
But they're playing trash though. They're playing Purdue. Come on.
You're supposed to do that. Oregon is playing middle of the road competition right now, and they've been eking out wins.
Have we ever thought? Does anybody remember what happened in the bowls last year at all?
Yeah, Pac-12 showed up.
Pac-12 went freaking undefeated in the bowls, beat everybody's ass out there, and they were having a hard time beating up against each other all year. Maybe they're a little better than we give them credit for out there. Maybe it's a little, maybe football, maybe the distance between these teams is more like this instead of this, like everybody thinks when you watch from week to week. And I mean, for me, again, like I said, I would hate to do this, but if Texas A&M had one loss right now, they would be above us. They beat us.
Well, yeah, without a doubt, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. So that's my take on it. The good thing is it all shakes out in the end. Now, who's going to be your Final Four, Petty?
Well, let me ask y'all this, because I don't think does two-loss. Let me ask y'all this: do y'all think two-loss Bama before I get my Final Four makes the Final Four?
No, only if it's an triple overtime loss to Georgia. Yeah. Outside of that, no way, no how. No way, no how. One loss before, lost in the title, get them out of there. Get us out of there if that happens. I'm sorry, I love Bama. I would like to go in with 4 losses. I think we'd win with 4 losses. But, I'm a Bama fan.
Yeah.
As a Bama fan, yeah, I would say, yeah, put us in. But you got to kind of think, man, with the Bama fatigue going on, are the people who are on the committee going to put us in, regardless if it's one of those instant classics, 1-2 point game things.
The only way I think that Bama would deserve even consideration is if they took Georgia to the wire and they looked like they were beating Georgia and there was some kind of situation where Georgia got lucky and won. That's the only way I can see us even being considered, and I still don't think we make it. I still don't think the committee lets you in on that.
Right. I agree.
Unless other teams lose. Now, again, we're forgetting the fact that all these other teams could drop another game or two, and then we'd be a shoe-in.
I think there's enough chaos, and yet that Cincinnati is going to be one of the Final Four teams. I think enough chaos.
I hope not.
It's coming.
Listen.
Whoever plays Cincinnati gets a free natty because they get an easy game to start, right?
Oregon loses today.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Bama gets knocked off by Georgia, and this is hypothetical. Mm-hmm. I mean, how are they not going to eventually have to just say, well, hell, all these lost teams, we're going to.
There's a lot of teams up there, and I do think that it would take 3 losses on a regular schedule to be equivalent to Cincy's schedule. I do think a 3-loss team and a Cincy team are probably running neck and neck.
If you look at the top 10 right now, all those teams that are on the periphery are looking at another loss. Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, all have to play each other. All these teams are inevitable to get 2 losses. I mean, we're about to have a cascade.
I think 2-loss Power 5 teams with good losses still trump Cincinnati undefeated because they have one game all year that they played against a ranked team. Okay,
and number 8.
Wait.
But it's Notre Dame, man.
Yeah, Notre Dame gets the playoff. We see what happens. Again, Notre Dame's a mid-major. I hate to say it, everybody out there. I hate to tell the world this, but Notre Dame's a mid-major, y'all.
They're Cincinnati in a more traditional uniform.
Yeah, prettier uniform, yeah. They are.
Listen,
they are.
If Cincinnati gets in, it's going to be like
tough
watching a wild card game.
Yeah.
It's not going to be remotely close.
Georgia won't let them score. It'll be a 1-4 versus Georgia.
And Georgia it'll just be a miserable game to watch because they'll just run the ball and they'll win 33-0.
It'd be funny because ESPN's going to try so hard to blow that matchup up and try to compare last year's Georgia-Cincinnati's matchup to this year when it's really not even remotely close at all. Georgia last year had maybe 1 or 2 starters actually playing. The rest were either hurt or they opted out of the game. Totally different scenario.
Right, and Georgia still won. I don't know if anybody paid attention.
Yeah, they still won.
Against the team that was playing their Super Bowl against the SEC that gave it all they had. Now, Georgia didn't cover. I took Cincinnati on the spread in that game and barely made it. But I'm telling you, those teams are not anywhere close to the same level. The talent's so different. And the thing about it is yes, teams with less talent can win. We've seen it many times. Teams with less talent can win. But when you've got a team that's playing really good that's got talent, that's tough. And that's what Georgia is right now. I've got to eat a lot of crow on trying to find – I know Georgia has a weakness in the passing game, but it doesn't matter.
We've done.
And
Yeah,
I'll
it
say
doesn't
this
matter.
too.
It doesn't matter.
We
It's
tried
like
all year
Ours
to
to
make it matter.
Cincinnati and playing a Power 5 team, and there's a difference between a Power 5 team playing with a bowl game mentality and a college football playoff game mentality.
sure.
Totally different monster.
Totally different.
And-
We heard our guest last week. Glad you said that. Our guest last week was just talking about how he was one of the best behaved players on the team. And when he went out for his bowl game, he partied a little bit the night before and came in late because it's a bowl game.
Guarantee if that had been a national championship, that story would have been different.
No. Totally different story. Wouldn't have been there. Exactly. The focus is there. There's still goals in front of you. Once they hand you the gifts at the bowl game, it's pretty much it, right? If you win or lose, makes no difference.
I don't know if you remember this, Michael, but a few years back, maybe in the 2015 national title that Alabama won, or it was around that area, but they were laser focused and they were going to goof off. Matter of fact, Crazy Tony Brown was doing stuff, and they put him on the bus and sent him back to Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
Not the coaches, the players.
Yep.
You had Reggie Ragland and Ashawn Robinson.
There you go.
If you don't mess with Ashawn, that guy was 45.
I'm still scared of him.
Yeah. So, yeah, they sent him on, put him on a bus, sent him home. Yeah, totally different mindset.
Right. And I mean, we'll see what happens. Justin, who do you think's your final four?
Oh, man, Final Four.
We won't. I promise we won't do this one again until after the SEC championships.
I think mine's going to,
Tough.
tough.
I got it.
Georgia 1, Ohio State 2. No, sorry. Georgia 1, Oregon 2, Ohio State 3, Bama 4.
And that's your final four, right? So that's
No,
reasonable. I mean, those are what do you call them? Usual suspects in the playoff, right?
Well, the only caveat would be if Michigan finally did the impossible, and that's beat Ohio State, which this year there is actually a legitimate chance.
It's as good of a chance as they've had that I can remember.
If you blow it again this year, next year what they're going to return everybody except their Olave and Garrett, but they're going to be pretty much loaded next year, and yeah, Michigan won't get that chance again.
All right.
Fair enough. Well, I guess I'll give you my top four now. And it hasn't happened yet, so I can say whatever I want, right? Yeah. So I'm going to say Bama 1 after they beat Georgia in the SEC championship, okay? And we're going to be Georgia 2 because they're just going to drop 1 right after that, and they're definitely not going to put them at 4 to play Bama right there again. And then in the middle, we are going to have either Ohio State or Michigan. I'm going to give you that because this Michigan thing, like Michigan as a team, they look a little bit like Georgia Junior because they play a similar style. They try to run the ball, try to control the clock, play good defense. So I could see Michigan slipping up and getting in there, but Michigan or Ohio State. And then this fourth slot I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea who this fourth slot is going to be.
Y'all are going to hate it.
I don't want to see it with Cincinnati, but it's very.
I mean, if it's Cincinnati coming in at 4 and Bama's at 1, I'll take it. You know, they want Bama. They put the signs up. They want Bama. Probably would be fitting for them to get a one-loss Bama team, right?
Here's your final four.
You're expecting Alabama's offensive line to play a whole lot better if we're going to be ranked number 1.
All right,
look, it hasn't happened yet. I understand this is a bull crap. I'm just optimistic, guys. Yes, so that's what I'm going with. Probably no Bama in the tournament if we lose.
Final four, and it's going to blow up the college football argument. It's going to be UGA number 1, Ohio State number 2, Cincinnati number 3, and Notre Dame number 4. Deal with it. It's coming.
Oh my God! Well, Petty, I'm glad the pain medicine's kicking in.
That's a lot of
thing is, he's not probably too far off. It could happen.
It could happen. Look at
the top 10 right now. Who's knocking off Notre Dame?
Has kind of snuck their way back in there.
They're number 8, and they have 1 loss. Cincinnati's undefeated. You look at Oregon could lose. Now this takes Oregon losing again too. Now this is me thinking Oregon's going to get knocked off, and something crazy may happen today. We'll talk about that later, but. Look at the top 10, man. It's a fest of teams that could lose 2 games.
Right.
And Notre Dame is going to fall into this. I don't like it. I don't like this. I don't like my Final Four. But it's gonna cause a lot of conversation, and you know what it's gonna do? It's gonna bump us to a bigger playoff.
So, do you think that if Oklahoma goes on and wins their Big 12 championship, that Cincinnati is going to get over them with one loss? I just don't see it happening.
Well,
I just don't see it happening.
if it's between those two, they'll vote Oklahoma in all day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lots of chaos, guys. I love it. I love it.
It's got to. Hey, that's the thing. Storylines for days coming for sure.
Now, if we had 4 undefeated teams that weren't going to lose for the rest of the year, it'd be boring.
Yeah.
We just go ahead and play them today, right? So, speaking of what's playing today, y'all like that transition? That was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You
you guys
somewhat professional? Wow.
All right. Yeah. I've been watching TV lately. That's all you do. That's how you practice for this gig. You watch TV, and I'm a fucking master TV watcher. So, let's get into some of the non-SEC games that I think are either big or interesting matchups, or that you guys have brought to my attention during our planning. And let's see if we can shake the world up just a little bit, right? We have today something that I don't think we've ever had in the history of Week Zero Sports podcast or the show, but I think we have 3 WTF lines of the week. Now, one of those is very, very WTF. They're kind of tiered, and I'm going to start with the one that's kind of almost maybe a WTF, because this team's probably going to I don't know what to expect in this game, and I know you've got some good insights on it, Justin, but we've got Michigan State, top 10. They've got one loss this year, going into Ohio State. All right. Also one loss. These teams are ranked very close. Ohio State's an 18.5-point favorite at home. What do y'all think about that, guys?
It's not too far off, really, because if you look at the talent disparity, they can't match them shout for shout. Michigan State can't. Kenneth Walker is absolutely a beast. Matter of fact, guys, here's an awesome stat. He is averaging 159.7 yards a contest in the Big Ten right now. However, Ohio State on the flip side is only giving up 2.7 yards rushing.
They got a great rush defense. Now, if you're going to beat Ohio State, it's through the air. Right? You got to beat them in the secondary. Their secondary is kind of weak, right? Right? No, I agree with you right there. That's interesting. And what's interesting about this line is it being so big with 2 top 10 teams playing. Like, that's when you say, what the fuck, right?
And you bring that up, and going into the Michigan game, Michigan State shockingly had one of the top offenses producing big plays in the country, like 60-yard big plays. They were like number 7 in the country. 20-yard plus plays, they were in the top 10 in the country. So they have the ability to hit the big play. So can they hit the big play on that Ohio State secondary? I don't know.
Don't know. Well, I don't think that Michigan State does rank very highly in big plays. That's one thing you may not know about them, but they do most of their scoring on big plays. They do most of their ball movement on big plays. Now, Justin, turn your mic gain all the way up. Max it out. I just got a note from one of our listeners that you're low again. I think may have to send your mic back and get it replaced or something. I think you blew it out getting in there screaming at it for the last 2 weeks.
Faulty Mike sent by a sponsor. I don't know who those guys were.
Yes, yeah, Faulty Mike. I think Best Buy is who sent you that mic, so you can just have a word with them, right?
Okay.
So anyway, getting back to this Michigan State and Ohio State game, and if you could let me know if that volume's any better. I've ramped him up as high as I can on my side, and he's turned all the way up. So hopefully that'll fix it. Who do you think has the edge in this game? Do y'all think that this line is close to right, or do you think that what's up with it? Do you think Ohio State can cover this big of a line against competition that's as good as Michigan State?
I think they can, especially if they get up early, because I don't think Michigan State has the wherewithal or the talent to be able to go match them blow for blow right now.
Right.
Outside of their running back, if their quarterback Thorne has time to throw, the Buckeyes are vulnerable in the secondary. But here's a caveat to that. Michigan State is without their top receiver, and we don't know if he's going to be able to go today. So that's another thing. So
that's no good. So all of the things, when you look at this line off the surface, just like our guy Kenny here says, Michigan State line's fishy. It's damn fishy. That's why it gets the WTF designation.
Absolutely. Well, when you got 2 top 10 teams vying for a playoff.
I mean, if people have been paying attention to our WTF lines, when we're able to capture these things, they're Very highly rated. I think we're 12, 14, and 2 or 3 on the year on these things. It's ridiculous. They are, and we don't know why a lot of times, but it seems after we talk about it, we always start figuring out why this line's so big, right? It's that Michigan State lives and dies running the ball. Ohio State can stop the run. Ohio State secondary is weak, and that's how people have been exploiting them. But can Michigan State do that, especially with their best wide receiver out? It's out there, and that's why. I'm maybe leaning toward the Buckeyes on this one, as weird as that sounds.
Ohio State has Chris Olave and Garrett. And Garrett, they're healthy. They're ready to go.
They got their other receiver back, yep.
But, hey, don't forget, they also have a great running back, too, in Travion Henderson. If that
Sure
gets going,
yep,
man, it's going to be a long day for this party.
Absolutely. So, Petty, your thoughts on this one?
Man, anytime – I'm just a contrarian at this point. Like, you can break down the X's and O's all you want. I do throw those out when I start looking at top 10 teams and a line this big and just start going, all right, what the hell does Vegas know and who they trying to screw with and where are the money trends? I do. I'm on Ohio State for that reason, because it seems like this is baiting you to take the number 8 team in the country getting 19 points. Come on, man.
Yep.
Give me those all day. Especially a team that can run the ball and has a Heisman candidate at running back. You feel like they should be able to get points. Why is that line so big, man? It's just way
Joe
too
Q
much.
Public doesn't know all of the real details that we've just talked about, and that's what it boils down to. And yeah, I think Ohio State's going to cover this thing just because of that. And when you go and look at the money and you see that like all of it is on Michigan State, like huge percentage, probably in the 70s or something like that. It's all the signs are pointing to an Ohio State cover in this one, as weird as that may sound.
I'm with it, man.
All right, so we're going to make it an official WTF, huh?
Official WTF.
Circled. Done. All right, let's move on to our next WTF. This one's a little more WTF-y even, right? Wake Forest, one-loss Wake Forest, another top 10 team, right? Heading to Clemson, who isn't worth a shit. Clemson's -4.
That was a good way to put it.
They've quit the whole year. I'll give you my quick take on this, and you can tell me what you think about it. Clemson hasn't played hard since they found out they sucked, right? Their defense is still there. They're still fantastic, and if they get motivated in any way, shape, or form, they're going to shut somebody down. I think they're probably going to shut down this, high-flying Wake Forest offense and beat them.
Has the entire country ever spent more time learning one kid's name and less in as quick of time forgetting it than
Forgot it.
Today.
Yeah. And then the next week, everybody's like, who?
Yeah.
Dude, so today, of course, they're going to win.
They're going to be excited because I think it might be their last home game. You'll have to check me on that. So seniors get excited. Everybody's going to play hard today, and I do believe that this is another one of those casual fan traps where Wake Forest, much better team than Clemson, and you're going easy to giving Wake Forest points. We'll take that.
No.
Yeah, well, it's on the road. It's in Death Valley.
And Wake was a part of one of our other WTFs on the road a few weeks back at North Carolina. It's the same situation,
Guess what?
man.
On the road, they aren't quite as good. So as you start breaking into the details, not as WTF-y, but to the casual fan, WTF, Wake Forest at Clemson. I got Clemson. You, Patty?
Clemson.
Justin?
Clemson wins big, too. I mean, come on. Wake Forest, this is all smoke and mirrors. And when it comes down to talent, you break it down to talent, they don't have the horses. Oh, they don't even have horses. They don't have the dudes to match up against that
They don't
talent.
have ponies.
And if this is Clemson's final home game, those seniors, you got to think, are going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go. I just think that Clemson finally gets it somewhat together in this game and wins.
Well, both of those games kick off at 12 o'clock today, so we're going to have some good early action on those. Maybe a reverse. Anybody want to do a WTF reverse where you take the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Clemson Tigers?
Michael, you notice somebody in our chat feed who is way up in the pick'em rankings went silent on that Clemson pick.
He did.
He didn't chime in on the Clemson pick, I noticed.
Who knows what's going on there? Maybe he had to take a break. He probably doesn't want to tell us we're wrong because he's trying to keep the victory going there. Right?
No, I got it.
We see you. We see you over there. All right, well, I've got another game, and this one's not. I'm going to take a break before my WTF because I wrote these down in the wrong order. So that's just what we're going to do. I've got a game that I find interesting when I'm looking at the line. Look here. I hope the rest of Pick'em's not watching this. We got to make some hay, guys. Don't tell them about this show.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so This game is interesting to me because the Nebraska Cornhuskers have a great defensive line. Everybody knows that. If you've been watching this show, you know they're good. They gave Ohio State hell. They've given a lot of people hell because of their defensive line. And they're headed over to Wisconsin today, which is one of Petty's favorite teams to bet on. I mean, he absolutely loves Wisconsin because they're cover machines. What do you think about this game, Petty?
They're going to cover because I've learned what it is. They don't cover for the first 4 weeks, and you get pissed at them and start betting against them. Then they cover the last 6 weeks of the season, and that's why you think they're good the following year because the way they finished the previous season because they always finish hot. It's a damn cycle. They're going to win. They'll cover.
They're going to win. Oh, you like Wisconsin to go ahead and win and cover on this. Well, Wisconsin's strength is their running game.
I don't know what it is. Screw them and their mojo. But yeah, of course it's a running game. Have they ever thrown the ball?
I think they'll have a hard time running the ball against Nebraska today. I actually like the edge, Nebraska plus the 10 points today.
It's 10.
Call me crazy. 10. When is Wisconsin? Look, we bet Wisconsin versus Michigan State, and we saw how they played football, and mind-blowing how they played not to cover.
All right.
Wisconsin's goal is to not cover every game somehow.
Unless I'm betting against them.
Right, exactly. Then they kill people. All right, guys. We are just 24 short minutes away from our special guest today, Mr. Matt Caddell. We have not teased him yet. He was a wide receiver from 2003 to 2007 at the University of Alabama. And Petty's over there doing hand signals because he's figured out how to use the clock since last week. So that's a good thing, right?
I was responding to Kenny's effing 10. Effing 10.
Got it. I love it. Anyway,
I'm over here interacting with all our guests. My brain's a little la-la, so.
Yeah, Petty's on the good stuff today. You know what I mean? So, pour a Bloody Mary on top of that, and he'll fall out of his chair. Can't do that today.
I'll be drooling.
All right, good. Well, Nebraska, Wisconsin. Do you have any take on this one, Justin?
Not really.
Boring game, right?
I mean,
don't care.
I don't care. If I watch it, I mean, it'll be a good sedative.
Right? It's good stuff. Well, I'm with you. Boringest game of the week.
Back in 1995.
Well, on that note, guys, what are the best games to bet on? Is it that primetime game that everybody's watching and that everybody's bet on, or is it one of those little obscure games that nobody's paying attention to? That's where I've always made my money, and I got a feeling Nebraska keeps it within 10 today. I'm not under any illusion they win the game, but I think they keep it within 10.
Your reasoning is solid, though. Why? I mean, if you've watched Nebraska all year, their defensive line's one of the better ones in the country.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of games. So Joe Public's going to think, Wisconsin's going to blow this team out. You know what I mean? Ooh, that's an interesting one. Hey, Daniel, why don't you take a little time and get some handicapping on this game that just popped up on the chat there, and we'll pull that up in a second because I want to know what's going on with that one. Well, that team that was pulled up by one of our commenters here, I'll just drop this out for you guys. Put out Hawaii. Who are they playing today, Petty?
Hawaii is one of those teams that you lose on at 2 a.m. or you win on. Like when you've gambled all day and you're like, hell, Hawaii's about to kick off. It's one.
You're like, I've lost everything. I'm winning it all back on Hawaii.
Give me Chimichanga. What's his name?
Hawaii at home's always a good bet because the people that go there are on vacation. It's like a bowl game, you know?
Timmy Chang's still there throwing for 5,000 yards a week.
Oh, best team to bet on. Okay, cool. Like it.
Well, they got Colorado State this weekend. Colorado State is garbage. Okay,
yeah, Colorado State's garbage. They're heading there to the bowl. They're headed to their Hawaii bowl since they're not going to get a regular bowl. They're going to have fun down there. I'd take that Hawaii team. What's the line? Probably Hawaii -5.
And what Kenny, a lot of teams struggle when they go over to the island. You know, it messes them up. I guess probably distractions might be one of the things.
It's fun. Yeah, they're in paradise. Yeah, cool. Well, we're going to take a look at that one. Maybe we'll talk about that back at the end of the game when I've had some time to to assess that a little more. But let's get into our biggest WTF of the week. All right. The casual fan, even me, the guy that watches football, sees this line and they're like, your head just blows up, right? We got Oregon, who is 9-1 or 8-1, 9-1, whatever, heading over to Utah. Oregon being the team that knocked off Ohio State this year, top ranked, top 4 team, top 6 team, right? Where's Oregon ranked right now?
They are number 3.
Number 3, top 4 team, heading to Utah. And they're getting 3.5 points. The Utah Utes are 3.5 point favorites over Oregon today at 7:30 p.m. Why?
Because Mario Cristobal is always due for a game every year, a drop that he has no business dropping. And it seems like he's always, they lost to Stanford this year too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And Utah's not, I can't put Utah in a bad category because they're actually a pretty decent squad.
Mm-hmm.
But
good program.
When everything is on the line so far under Cristobal's tenure, he has failed to close out. And that means, finishing the conference the way they should and also maybe earning a playoff spot. So I think Vegas is betting that that's going to happen today.
Thinking too much pressure, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, what do you think about it, Petty?
I think they're a disaster waiting to happen. I think I think they've got good players. You brought up the Thibodeau kid, but yet their defense still ranks, around where Ole Miss's does. So,
yeah, Stanford beat Oregon. Mind blower.
Yeah, their offense is ranked around the middle of the country. It's not that
right.
Oregon that you remember when they were flashy with Chip Kelly. This is like you look. The uniforms are still flashy. The offense is not, and they're going to play a team that matches up well with that. Utah is a feisty team, and Utah I think dropped a few games early. They've gotten hot and reached back up into the top 25. There you go. So this is a bad spot. There's a reason Utah's favored by 3.5. I think this is one of those things. Like as an Ole Miss fan, I saw the Auburn game coming. I think if you were really dialed into Oregon, you may see something coming here in the same way.
I would not have been shocked by a 2.5 point line on this game at all. One score, like close game. I could see them giving Oregon 2.5 points in this, and it being not that WTF. Excuse me. If it becomes a 3.5 point, that's a trap line anyway. Those things are hard to cover, and that's what makes it the triple WTF to me. So I am blindly betting on Utah today simply because it doesn't make any sense.
I think it has flirted with danger too many times this year against, like I said earlier, middle of the road opponents. So
Oregon doesn't play that offense anymore. It's just they're a line of scrimmage football team now. I mean, I guess that comes from having an offensive line coach as your head coach. But it's a different Oregon team. They play football differently. It's hard to handicap them right now because you have all these impressions about fast and little guys running all over the field, spreading everything out, and it's just not that team anymore. They're trying to build an SEC program up there, and they're just not quite there yet.
No. You can't find SEC caliber players on the West Coast.
Well, if somebody comes into your house right now with a shotgun, puts it to your head, and says, you got to bet on this game, Justin, who you taking?
Matt Carousel says hello.
I'm going to be like, it's a good thing I'm right with Jesus because I don't know if I can make this pick.
See you guys.
See ya.
Love it. Love
I think Oregon will win, but I think it's going to be one of those typical Oregon ugly wins. And they win by, what the spread is, 3.
Oh, well, if they win by 3, that's a 6.5 point cover by Oregon. So people that are following Justin out here need to go ahead and pull out the checkbook. Checkbook. Who said that in the last 50 years, right?
What checkbook?
The hell is a checkbook? Get your Venmo out, kids. All right. Got 2 more games that I want to talk about a little bit before we get into our guest. This next one, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Notre Dame squad, okay? They've got Georgia Tech coming to their house today. All right, they're a 17.5 point favorite. The key that you want to know about this game is it opened at 14.5, and it's been bet up 3 points. So now 17.5, right? Second thing, 93% of the money is on Notre Dame. It was as high as 98% last night. Now, as they've moved this line, it seems some more people have kind of taken that down. That's pretty crazy to see that kind of money on one team. Now, seeing the line move is comforting if you're a Notre Dame fan, right? Or if you're going to take Notre Dame. But what are your thoughts on this, Petty? This seems a little weird to me.
Well, they're playing Georgia Tech. That means for the championship. What y'all don't know in the underlying story is what's been going on in the program this week. There's a walk-on player at Notre Dame in which I heard every player turned in their jersey and said, we're not playing unless he plays against Georgia Tech this weekend. And everybody gathered together, and this kid's going to be on the field for this Georgia Tech game. I have a feeling he plays.
I bet he gets a sack.
He may even jump off sides and get a sack.
Rudy was off sides.
It was Georgia. Man, I don't know. The Georgia Tech thing just sent Percocet and Georgia Tech and Rudy just sent me on a whole different. I think Notre Dame's going to backdoor into this thing. You brought up a good point about Georgia Tech keeping games close.
Yeah.
And I don't think Notre Dame's great. I think this game probably could get ugly and murky and close, but I think Notre Dame is going to backdoor in this thing just to piss everybody off. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
It causes you pain.
Yeah, I don't even want to tell you what just shot through me right then. I think Notre Dame murks and wins this one.
Okay. I mean, I obviously think they're going to win the game. I think the spread is a little weird. I think it's starting at 14. A lot of times when you see a line move a lot without something really happening, it's just because the public's pushing it up, right? And I think in this situation, everybody knows Vegas wants to have half the money on either side so they get free money. Take the juice, right? Absolutely. In this situation, I think they've moved the line enough to where they've got Notre Dame against Notre Dame. I think that they believe that, a 14, 15, 16-point win's probably, reasonable for Notre Dame. I think they think anything over 17 is a little bit unlikely, so they're trying to hedge their bets on the other side of that 17. So they're getting a lot of people piling in on Notre Dame at 17.5. Notre Dame comes out with a 16-point win. They may still have 50-50 on either side, you know what I mean? And I believe that that's kind of what's going on. I think it's pushed up to 17.5, and it's not moving from there because they believe that that's where they can get that 50-50 on Notre Dame bets. Ooh. So I like Notre Dame not to cover this one in a close one. However, they ought to. No one has beaten Georgia Tech by more than 17 points this year except for Pittsburgh, and they've got the best offense in their league and one of the best in the country. Okay, Notre Dame's offense is not anywhere close to that explosive, right? So this is going to be more of a grind out kind of game, in my opinion. Now, I do think Notre Dame's going to have their way with Georgia Tech. I just feel like this may not cover.
I agree. Rudy.
Yeah, all right. I agree with Petty. Notre Dame is going to backdoor their way in. Notre Dame won't cover today. I say Notre Dame wins by 14.
Okay, 14. I like that too. That's what I'm shooting for. Well,
and have I swayed you on Notre Dame backdooring into this playoff?
Well, the thing is, in the back of my mind, I don't want to see it happen, so I've kind of squashed it down. But the reality of it is, it could happen.
I just thought of a scenario that is wild. Okay, what if the slot number 4 comes down to Notre Dame and Cincinnati?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, dude.
Because Notre Dame always gets the benefit of the doubt regardless. Like, would they be able to do that? Like, could they find the justification to put Notre Dame over Cincinnati? Because, they're putting Ohio State over Oregon right now. Why wouldn't they, right?
Of course they will.
You will have an uproar.
I guess they're not doing it yet, but it's coming. That would be despicable. And I could see that happening, to be perfectly honest. Like, I could absolutely see that happening, and that would be the worst thing for the college football playoff. It would blow it up.
You'll see everybody that doesn't want Cincinnati in to completely reverse course immediately. And no, we want Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely. The turn against Notre Dame.
A lot of Bearcat fans suddenly emerge.
Yeah. No, they deserve their shot.
Well, we've got a couple lackluster SEC games on the slate today, and I'm going to. Yeah.
But one.
All of them. I hope it's all of them, to be perfectly honest. I hope the one you're talking about is not a game. But I'm going to skip that one, and I'm going to get into some of the others because our guest will be here in about 11 minutes, and we're going to hold all of our Bama talk until he gets here. Okay. So, first game that's showing up on the on the clock today, I'll just go in time order, is going to be Florida at Missouri. And Florida is a 9.5-point favorite over somebody for some reason. What do y'all think about this one? Betty, you are the best Dan Mullen picker in the world. Why don't you tell us what you think first before we tarnish you?
Dude, man, what a shit show.
Pull out the whiskey for that one. That's right.
They gave up 52 points to Sam Ford.
Not Stan.
Ford, Sam Ford.
Yeah.
Hey, 42 of those were in the first half.
Yeah.
God bless, man. Is this game in Como? It's in Como, right?
Yes.
Columbus, Missouri.
Columbia.
Como. Is that what we call that now? I have no idea what you're
fucking
talking
about. I saw it written like that, and I never get Columbus and Columbia right, so I went with it because I knew I could get Como right.
He made up a city.
Well played.
Right, I did. If I can't say it right, I'll make up my own. I can't pick. Missouri did beat South Carolina, and
they did.
Yeah.
they keep this close, right? They
I think Missouri is better than Samford. I mean, like, not much probably, but like they're better than Samford.
Man, Mullen has got to be a dead man walking, right?
Yikes! Yeah, I wouldn't touch this game for nothing, man.
No.
Like, there's not that line.
What's the over/under? Now, Florida can't stop anybody, so what's the over/under?
I didn't even write it down because I was so baffled by the fact that Florida's a 9-point favorite over anybody right now.
All right, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to tell you the play on this game. Public that's listening to us, take the over because Florida can't stop me right now, and I can't walk.
The icing on this cake with the futility sprinkles was after the game. Florida was celebrating and dancing in their locker room like they just beat a Power 5 legit opponent.
Hey,
I mean, if that
still
is
a W, right?
summary, well, come on, bro. An FCS team, that just kind of goes with the whole year. And I wouldn't be surprised if Missouri turns around and beats Florida.
It's 68.5. Take the over.
Take the over 68.5. And if you're following Justin, you want to take Missouri because that's that money line probably pays pretty darn good if you want to get in that.
It's +9, man. I think Missouri makes it close.
Yeah.
Florida's quarterback.
Yes.
Emory
Which
Jones.
one are you talking about, Robinson or the other guy?
Emory Jones.
Jones.
Petty, I found out something very interesting this week.
Oh.
That Dan Mullen actually in that recruiting class with Emory Jones pulled a scholarship from one Matt Corral so he could get Emory Jones.
Dude,
How do
that
y'all
is
feel
a
about
great
that,
point.
Florida fans?
I don't know how I've never brought that up. That is a great pull, but no, you're dead on. When Mullen went to Florida, he was recruiting him and dropped Corral for Emory Jones. Boy, that worked out well.
Well, speaking of Corral, I hate that they couldn't drag up enough NIL money to keep him in Ole Miss for one more year because he announced he's gone, right?
Oh yeah, he's dead, man.
This is his last game in Vaught Hemingway today.
Last game, and Brett Michaels of Poison is flying his parents in.
My wife showed me that last night, and I was like, "What? What is the connection of Brett Michaels to Matt Corral's family? Can you shed a little light on that?"
Matt Corral, pimp daddy Matt Corral, dated one Rain Michaels in high school. If you want to, you Google.
Gotcha.
But he dated, and they're no longer dating. But Brett, like when Matt was getting recruited, like there was pictures of the Matt Luke and Phil Longo, who's now at North Carolina, with Matt Corral and Brett Michaels out recruiting him in California. So Brett has maintained a real close family friendship with the Corrals, and so Brett Michaels of Poison is flying the Corrals to the game today. Pretty cool.
Pretty darn cool.
Especially for those that don't know, I am a ridiculous 80s music dork, and I love Poison. I will go see them anytime they come.
Oh, well, we've got a question here from one of our viewers. Says, what's up, guys? Your thoughts on the coaching carousel with LSU, USC, possibly Florida, and Miami? Do we have, Justin, Petty, I know you guys pay a lot of attention to the hot sheets out there. Y'all are on the the message boards. What's going on with these? Who's the lead candidate, and who do you got? Who's going to end up at LSU?
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley's going to end up. There's enough smoke there, and where the fire and the distraction. And if you saw it in the Oklahoma program last week, the way I think there's enough there. I think it's Riley.
I don't like that at all.
I will say
I do not want a high-powered offense down at LSU to go with their always good defense because they've got so much talent down there
they won't
defensively.
Have defense because Lincoln Riley doesn't recruit defensive players.
You can put anybody at LSU and they will have a defense. I don't care who it is.
Lincoln
There's too many of them down there. He's not going to go and tell all the great defenders to leave and not come. They're still going to come. They're still LSU fans. We have to beg them to come to Alabama, and we're better.
So
all those quarterbacks and
Yeah, Lincoln Riley, you mark words. Anybody that thinks Lincoln Riley to LSU is a good thing for anybody else, I don't like that at all. I don't like any offensive-minded coach going to LSU. No way. Well, what about
if Lincoln Riley does not go to LSU, I still am holding out for Billy Napier, over there at, Northeast, Louisiana?
Cajuns, right? Raging Cajuns.
The guy knows the state of Louisiana well. He's recruited everybody that goes through there. The kids know him. I think that he would be a good fit if Lincoln Riley doesn't go through. As far as Miami, to be honest with you, I don't think their coach is gone after this year. I think he gets one more year. He's had to deal with a lot of adversity, including losing their starting quarterback. Although Van Dyke is playing a lot better than previous guy.
Derek King.
Yeah, King. I'm forgetting names today, so thank you for your assist.
Catch you back.
I think they kind of get a mulligan this year, and he has one more year. As far as USC, I mean, who really wants to go to that dumpster fire?
Well, I personally think
come up again.
I personally think that UCLA and USC are going to become powerhouse programs again just because of NIL and the amount of money that's in LA. And there's a lot of perks to go in there as a college student. I remember when they were good, Matt Leinart was hanging out with like Hollywood celebrities all the time and everything. Like they have got everything that you'd want as a 18-year-old kid going somewhere. And once they throw in all that NIL money that lays around in LA and Hollywood, then I feel like these programs are going to be on the heavy up and up.
They have all the potential because the money is there.
It's a loaded spring like Alabama was before Saban got here. They're a loaded spring.
If LA ever wants to invest in college football, they will absolutely become. I mean, look at what USC was in the early 2000s when they got popular and fun, and they were buying players. They just weren't doing it with it. Now that they've got the NIL money, they can give Reggie Bush's mom that condo and not take his Heisman Trophy. So,
right.
I mean, they absolutely. USC's very Bamish, man. They're one right higher, and the boosters giving a shit enough to be.
Well, no, and the boosters shutting the hell up is the problem. That's what's wrong in Texas right now. Yeah. That's what was wrong with Alabama a long time ago. The boosters were having too much influence, and once Saban came in and like took that over, it helped a lot. Oh man, I'm really excited right now. I just saw someone jump in the green room. Ooh. I'm excited. Well, let's go ahead. Let's show a little clip really quick before we bring this guy on. One of the reasons why we really wanted him today because of an Arkansas game that he probably remembers pretty well. Justin, you want to give us a quick intro? Let's pop our guy in, then we'll watch this clip.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to have one of the best wide receivers to ever play for the University of Alabama, and a man that is responsible for one of the most epic comeback wins in school history. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Caddell.
Yes. I'm so glad to be on with you guys, man, in Tuscaloosa. Like you said, that Arkansas week is a special week. So hopefully we'll be having some pork loin, some ribs.
I like that. Well, on that note, really quick, before you get started, Matt, I want to show this play that we're talking about to everyone so that they can see it going on right here.
To the shotgun. Flag is down. John Parker Wilson.
It's so loud in there that the cameras are shaking. That's fantastic. How'd that feel, Matt?
Awesome time, man. People still to this day, man, they still talk about that catch, man. It's, to get a Coach Saban's first signature SEC win against, against McFadden and Houston Nutt, and to really do it in that fashion. I don't think we've had a fourth quarter win in so long, It just really kind of, sparked the plug that, okay, what Coach Saban has here is going to be special. And, they've been rolling ever since. So hopefully tonight's game is not as close, but, it's going to be a dogfight tonight. I just believe it's going to be another dogfight for the Tide. I think we'll be able to come on time.
Yeah, this is definitely not the Arkansas team that we're accustomed to as modern-day Alabama fans. Of course, back when we were there, totally different team. They had those big names, McFadden, Felix Jones, and then I forgot the fullback's name, but he was. But yeah, he was a stud. So yeah, totally different feel. They're motivated, they're driven, they're hungry. They have one of the best hype men in their coach in the game today. So yeah, they're ready. And this isn't a pushover Arkansas team. So what do you feel like our advantage is going into this game, especially with an SEC West title on the line?
Well, I mean, you said hopefully having the SEC West title on the line. I think our advantage, we've been in some dogfights, man. It's a different team, and we're still a young team. And I think the message Coach Saban has been preaching is, we can have the best week of practice, or we can not have the best week of practice. And, we've got to, execute and put it together for 60 minutes. And I think today's game is just one of those games is where it's just football season, man. It might not be the high scoring game, but I feel like if Alabama can jump up to 21 points, kind of set the tone in the passing game, maybe get James Williams, get some packages rolling. I think this is a key pivotal game for us because for this team, I think they need this confidence to really show, hey, if we put it together, guys, the sky's the limit. And what's so funny about this team, I was saying earlier, like, it baffles me. People are so critical on everybody. And I get it. We're passionate fans, but at the same time, guys, we haven't even put together a full 60 minutes with, everybody picking in all changes. And, even in our losses, I mean, we've just had so many minute errors that we still should have won the game, which is crazy. So, I mean, once this team puts it together, I think we're going to be a scary team. I think, you look at the leadership of Coach Saban, Hall of Fame coaches, they tend to get it right. You look at the Patriots right now. Nobody wants to say it, but the Patriots are starting to look like the Patriots, just because of the leadership. And, it might look a little rusty at first, but I think if the team is just focused, the team tries to focus on playing Arkansas dominating. This is going to be one of those dogfights, man, where we're going to see what we're made of. And I think this is the kind of game we need to really, get our identity and really get the ball rolling and win the ball.
Well, I've got a question for you. Have you watched much of the Arkansas team, and have you seen Burks play, and what do you think about that guy?
Oh, man, he's big, he's fast, he's one of the top receivers in the SEC. This secondary is lights out. A big kudos to Barry Odom. I mean, the scheme he ran, you could see it last year. I mean, I was watching Arkansas' team last year, and I was like, principally, their speed, because they were giving Lane Kiffin this. It's kind of hard to do an SEC way.
Mm-hmm.
I think Coach Davis has a lot of respect for them. The Arkansas team is kind of one of those old-fashioned guys. They're all about it up front. That's what Sam Pittman is about. So, this is a good challenge for our team. Our offensive line, I think we got some depth now. We can kind of mix them out. I really like the way Thomas Brown played the other night. I think he kind of brings a little physicality and nastiness to that soccer. So, I mean, we could be multiple and, really surprise some teams of how the game plan is. I think, this is part of the season where we need to start getting things rolling. Look better than good.
One of the things you mentioned earlier that we're in game 11 and we still haven't clicked yet. It all hadn't come together. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier on Stephen M. Smith's show, and by the way, guys, this has been a busy man all week. I've seen him on countless shows, so I'm not sure exactly what his appearances have been this week, but I know he's been a busy man. And did you clock in? But listen, we still hadn't come together quite offensively. Of course, Jameson Williams has been doing his thing, but you mentioned earlier we need that third or fourth guy to come out, and we thought it maybe would have been Trayshawn Holden, but he's been kind of silent lately. But my biggest what in the world is going on is Jaleel Billingsley. He had other than this past Saturday, he hadn't had a catch. He's had one catch. I take that back since the Southern Miss game. How important it is for Jaleel Billingsley to have a Jaleel Billingsley type day today against Arkansas?
I mean, he's a matchup problem. And, I know Bama fans, we want to, we're so used to having all that leadership from last year's team where everything was just clicking. It's probably Coach Saban's easiest job as a coach because, I mean, you had Matt, you had Devontae, you had Najee, you had Landry Dickerson. I mean, you had guys that really set the tone for the team. You had that leadership. But, this year it's a different challenge. And I think this is what makes Coach Saban one of the greatest coaches, Hall of Fame coach, because it's a different challenge. This is a different grind. You're dealing with coming out the championship year. And, the hunger might not be there, but you still have to instill that hunger. And, like you said, Billingsley, I think, for me, just him and Latu getting in the end zone, it couldn't happen in a better time. And another thing that kind of hurt behind the scenes, after the LSU game, the offense did it. Just to hear that Bryce Young really took the bull by the horns and really kind of stepped up his leadership role with confidence. I think that's going to go a long way. And I think, um, you know, sometimes leadership, people think because you're starting in your position that it comes naturally just right then and there. But a lot of it has to come with time. And I think Alabama is in a prime, awesome position right now to get hot with the Braves. The Braves have a couple of weeks before, after the Giants had clinched the division and all these teams that got their playoff berth, they were like 3 games back, but they got hot at the right time. So that's what I think this Alabama team needs to do is get hot at the right time, and they can do it starting today by playing against Arkansas. And like you said, to your point, Justin, one player that I think is really kind of going to really help us is Javon Baker. I think to me, this guy, if he gets everything right mentally, physically, this guy is a weapon that can really, we can utilize inside and slide or outside. So, maybe a lot of this stuff is by design, but, I think Coach Saban he's just ready to get to Arkansas and just all down in Arkansas. So, we're just taking a one game at a time.
Absolutely.
Man, now I got a question, bud. I'm an Ole Miss fan, but ironically, I was in the stadium that night against Arkansas. My wife, I don't want to get into the long story of me. Hotty toddy. Hey, man,
That's
appreciate it, buddy.
Well, I thought Daniel wasn't going to show up today because he had a rough week, but I brought my Ole Miss cup just so they'd have a little representation.
I had
blue, and I was like, I ain't tripping.
Hey, man. Ooh, yeah. Man, I appreciate. Shoot, I wish I was Lane Kiffin. I'd be on the sideline today and not hurting, sitting on some ice from surgery. But Matt, you were, for the last decade plus, man, it's been a Tide machine. The Crimson Shroud has covered college football. You were actually there, and like I said, I was there that night, and that night was one of those moments in the stadium where you could feel a change, that this was going to be different. Arkansas was really good that year, and that was the first real big win. But you were there at the time of the transition to the greatest coach in college football history. How was that, and when did you know that, oh, my gosh, this is different?
You kind of already know because, I was fortunate enough. Me and Coach Saban, we probably talk about this, but we have a long relationship. People don't understand this. When he was at LSU, I was recruited by him. This is when we had Jimbo Fisher. I can remember Jimbo Fisher coming to my high school, Motherwell High School. Him and Coach Saban talking about LSU, Kirby Smart, Muschamp, all these guys that were coaching everywhere. It was on Coach Saban's. We kind of we kind of have a long relationship back to high school. So, just to kind of knew what type of coach he was, I knew what type of intensity he brought. I mean, just to watch him from, I didn't go to LSU, but they were one of my top schools. See him win the championship there, you kind of knew in the back of your head that, once he comes, he's going to change the program. But I never forget, the first meeting we had with Coach Saban, and he was talking about, I never forget this quote, just to because he quoted his Martin Luther King quote about, being a street teacher. Whatever you do, no matter if you're a street teacher, street the streets like Michelangelo, or, Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel. Whatever he basically said, he was just, you want to be with it. And to me, that stuck with me. But just to go from the transition to Coach Saban, this guy just instills confidence in you like no other. Now, he's going to get on you now. Now, to me, I talk to my wife, and I'm like, where's the old Coach Saban? Because the old Coach Saban would have broke about 3 headsets by now. By some of these things he's letting these guys get away with now. But I'm quite sure he's getting on them now. But, that first year he was just so hard on us, and he had to instill his program. But, there's so many life lessons that I learned that just made me a better man. He's so husband, friend, just a better person in general. So he wants you to be the best, not just on the field, but in all phases of your life. He wants you to be the best student, the best teammate. And so I think, like we talked about building it earlier, it's going to click for him. And it might not click for him now. It might click for him when he's in the NFL or somewhere. But he's gonna look back and be like, man, if I could have you go talk to some younger kids or something and tell them that, hey man, you do your best or whatever you want to do. Um, that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, for me, like just knowing Coach Saban, his program, and he came to Alabama, it was just he knew the confidence level went to new heights. He just instills that confidence in you. The attention to detail, being prepared for every all situation, having the staff just instill that confidence. To me, that's just like the biggest thing that you need from the coach. Yeah, it showed that night was
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I can't imagine, it's special. Every kid grows up, whatever color they wanting to run through that tunnel. It's always special just to get to run on the field at Bryant-Denny, but I can't imagine to be a part of the beginning of what it's become. I imagine that's awesome.
I mean, every time I see him now, I'm like, man, you getting soft, man. Where was this our first year? I mean, you were. Well, there's so many stories I can tell you about him killing us out and just little things.
Well, he's getting soft, but apparently his joke game has not changed at all.
Oh, he's running now. He's a jokester now. Especially letting Miss Terry be away. Oh, he's gonna. I mean, he's stand up live at this comedy stardom.
It's funny is that every one of the former players echo the same thing. They're saying, "Yeah, hell yeah, he's getting soft." And you're the last one of them because they remember what he did to y'all.
I bet Roy Upchurch watches it and's like, "Come on, man!"
Like a lot of guys, we like, man, what happened? Like we used to be. I mean, like, but I love it. I mean, as Bama fans, we love it when Saban gets mad. I think last week. We were playing New Mexico State, and we were probably at 40-some points. And I think we either got a bad call from the ref or something, and Saban laid into it. And, all the Alabama fans are like cheering for him, like, yeah, get on them, folks, get on them. So, we love that intensity, but I think Coach Saban is, he's just a little bit more wiser, I'm quite sure he still does it. He probably does it, maybe not as publicly, but, I'm quite sure we got some games coming up this game and next week, and hopefully, where hopefully he doesn't have to show that intensity, but hopefully, I'm quite sure Coach Saban's doing it. He's finding different ways to get his intensity across the field, for sure.
So you're saying the general public now sees him as a grandpa, but in practice, he's Samuel L. Jackson still.
There's no snakes on this plane. You don't want no.
Well, speaking of intensity, Matt, this is a question that I always ask our guests when they come on here. And you've played at the highest levels of football. None of us really ever have. We always want to know what it was like, to be there. But really, I want to know, is there ever a player that you ran up against, whether it be from high school, college, NFL, whatever, that just made you say, damn?
Okay, this is going to be a long-winded question. Okay.
So I love it.
So in high school, I mean, obviously, class of 2003, you can't mention the class of 2003 without mentioning Tim Paxton. He was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
He was in 8th grade winning state championships for Broward. And, he kind of set the tone for the class because we were an uber talented class. I mean, I was talking about earlier how, Coach Saban and Jimbo Fisher were always in the state of Alabama because you had Chad Jackson, Jason Swain, Prothro, LaRon McClain, Jamarcus Russell. Like that, to me, that class of 2003, the state of Alabama produced some of the most talented players. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So I'll never forget playing in Alabama All-Star. And, I've camped with Pro. Me and Pro and I, we probably became really close. I'll never forget, we would go to Alabama camp and stuff like that. But we went to an Auburn camp, and I forgot. I think we were roommates, and Pro and I, we just bonded. We were just like, man, this is it. Nothing like Tuscaloosa. So one thing about Auburn, they're so close to Georgia, and you run these guys from Georgia and running them out, and they kind of get competitive, and so we sat together and I'll never forget Alabama Mississippi All Star man. We're all of us together, Pat Jackson, Wayne, Terrence Jones, Dewan, Dominique Lee, all of us together, and I'll never forget Proto put in his highlights. And, I thought everybody had highlights. But, I mean, pros highlight tape, which is ridiculous. These guys playing quarterback, DB, safety, punt returner, slot receiver. I mean, every type of position. It was unreal, and I was like, okay, Proto's that guy. I mean, just to have the career he did, you would see all this stuff. The catch that he had was shoulder miss. I mean, we saw that in practice a couple of times. I mean, during scrimmage, there was nothing shocking for him. So Proto is one. I talked about Tim Pascal, was another. Now, playing, just going back to Coach Saban, I'll never forget. Marcus Spears. I never forget, we played down there in Death Valley, and I've never seen a defensive end so hard to block. This guy was super athletic, had the feet of a basketball player, and I just remember seeing Marcus Spears, and I was like, wow, this guy is such a talent to block. I mean, we were making plays, but he was just a stud, and he was one of those guys that was just like, wow. And I'm trying to think of who else.
He's still a big boy.
Yeah.
He's super athletic, but I mean, he was on defensive end, and he was on another level down there.
That's when they had Lavallee.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. I was just like, wow. Funny thing, okay, another wild story. There's 2 Arkansas guys. Freshman year, Arkansas had a quarterback, Matt Jones. He was like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, fast.
Ran like a 4.3.
Listen, I knew he was fast, but I didn't know how fast he was until I saw it in real life. Man, this guy, I literally saw him take 2 steps, and he was 30 yards down the field. And I was like, oh my God, he's got to be the fastest white guy I've ever seen. Like, it was like the craziest thing. Like, he was ridiculously fast.
He didn't look as fast either, was the funny thing when he was running, because you would notice all the DBs would always undercut him. They would cut him too sharp, and he'd outrun them. Like like it was amazing seeing how like he just blew people away.
Seeing him and seeing Dad in the side, and I never forget he played Arkansas. He didn't want to go into it. Like, yeah, this guy was 2 top, running back. Steve Jones there in the side. And I never forget seeing Dad in the side. He busted like a 70-yard run. I was like, oh my God, yeah, that guy is what everybody was hyped up to do, and just to see the career there. But in the NFL, let's see, just seeing Leonard Little in person,
most ironic name in history.
seeing Javon Curse. I mean, you had like in the NFL, they have these camps where you practice against the other team or whatnot when you do a preseason game.
Uh-huh.
And I never forget seeing Javon Curse. And this guy is like the tallest. He looks like he's like 6'9". Guns just cut up, and you just like, oh my God, that's defensive end. So those are some of the aha moments. Those are the key players this game that I was just
That's awesome. That's good stuff.
I thought for a minute there you were going to talk about the time that Juwan Simpson took you out in practice one day.
Oh, man. Juwan, so you got to think, this linebacker group. You had Juwan, D'Amico Ryan, Freddie Rhodes, Cornelius Morgan, all those guys. So defensively, we were young guys. We knew we get off on these guys. The game would be easy. So, you don't go against the defense that hard in practice. But yeah, Juwan, it was like a little. We weren't even in full pads, but that just shows you how intense they set the tone coming across the middle. I mean, you had to run slants, and Juwan got me good, so I had to get like stitches on my lips and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's what football is. I mean, you look at those memories. That's why I try to tell kids now. Like, football is one of the best teachers, not only of sports and character, but it helps you in life. You're going to deal with all those situations in life, whether it's just whatever, loss of family, but it teaches you how to be a character, how to, to look at people as your brother, get all these things together. it's all good.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I've got another question for you, and this is from the fan perspective looking in, right? Because none of us have never been there. We just want to understand what it's like. So you've been at Alabama for about a decade now, or a little more, right? So you've had time to kind of settle back into cheering for the Tide as opposed to being a part of it. If they sent you to the soup store today with a $120 gift certificate and said you got to spend it on a jersey, who you getting?
Ooh, I'm getting that Bryce Young jersey.
There you go. I like that.
I need to get that Bryce Young or that Will Anderson jersey. One of those two guys. But Will Anderson, I mean, this guy's just, I mean, for him to be so young, to have the mindset of just the leadership, I just love listening to his interviews. I mean, but I mean, hopefully it rubs off. I think he's just such a leader at such a young age, and he's just good for it. And I just hope it rubs off on the rest of the guys in the team. And, I mean, you can't definitely that Will Anderson and Bryce Young, those are the two best to Will Anderson, I mean, I go on and on about that guy. That guy is just
He would be a starter on any NFL team today. I mean, he is so good.
he's like but he hasn't even perfected his pass rush. That's what people fail to realize. Like he's just really getting a lot of sacks and not giving up and want to. Just imagine when he learns how to like really use his hands and set up his blocks and all that stuff. He's gonna be
That's the second time I've heard that today. Roman Harper was talking about that this morning, and I'm like, good Lord, man, I
I heard him talking about it either. So
if that kid's raw, good Lord.
wow, he's just all talent, man. And I just remember the hype coming out of him out of Georgia. They were saying he's gonna have like 28 sacks his junior year, whatever. And I just, listening to Andrew Jones and all those guys, and everybody's like, oh, Will Anderson's the guy I want to see. But you could see it last year.
Yeah.
He was just, by the time that week 4, 5, 6 games came around, he was just a force to be reckoned with. And I think that just really helps us to really know how to game plan and just really confuse offensive coordinators moving forward. So, yeah, he's a weapon there for sure.
No doubt. Of course, on the Bama Standard, I called it, last year that this kid may be the next Derek Thomas, and people started harassing me about that. He's not going to be the next Derek Thomas, but if you look, man, he really is getting on that freaky, unreal track to where he could possibly beat Derek's sack record.
Here's what we need to do. We need to get a Kickstarter going on so that we can build up about $25 million to get him to stay for his senior year through this NIL business, man. That's what I need.
It's some NFL teams that are probably just already just can't wait to get this guy. He's going to be number one off the board. He's just a stud. He's just a stud. So it's going to be interesting.
Right. Well, the name of our show is the Saturday Morning Cocktail Kickoff, and that's a little bit of a loaded title, right? So we always got to ask, what's your favorite Saturday morning cocktail?
Ooh. It's kind of cold. I will say I got to preface this first. Everybody drink responsibly, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And make sure you drink your water. You know what? My thing, my it's not much of a cocktail. My thing is coffee. Like funny. You grow up, you're like, everything is about hot chocolate, but it's like when you start working in the business world and you
get the addiction.
Yes.
It's amazing. I just had a Starbucks run not too long ago, so my drink would be coffee. I mean,
yes.
Well, if you get crazy, you can always pour a little Irish whiskey in there and spice it up.
A little whatever you want.
Yeah, a little Baileys.
Beverage of your choice, but I'm gonna say coffee. That's kind of my game day. My wife stays on me to kind of limit myself to 1 cup a day, but
it's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Well, it's funny you say that. We almost renamed the show the Saturday Morning Coffee Kickoff 2 weeks ago because we were all just like, God, coffee only, please, today.
It's so good, man. Once you start drinking it, it's like the best feeling ever.
Absolutely. Now, Matt, I can't have you on here without you breaking down that special game-winning play. That was a crazy game to begin with. We jump out to what, a 21-0 lead. It looks like we're going to coast the rest of the game. Arkansas said no way, and they came roaring back, took the lead, and I'll let you pick it up from there on that final drive and how special that was.
Yeah, I mean, it was the defense had to make a stop. I'll never forget. It was like third and 6 or something, and Arkansas had to pass the ball. And I think Ezekiel Knight, he dropped back and almost had an interception. So we forced him to punt. And we get the ball like in 40 something. It's like 2 minutes or something left, and we had to drive, 70-some yards or whatever. However, it's 60-some yards. And we just knew. I mean, I just remember telling WR Parker, like, once we get the ball back, we're going to win this game. The one thing about Coach Saban, he prepares you with the 2-minute drills and good on good. So, I mean, we actually ran the same play for like a couple times, and it was just open. And, eventually, once we got in their territory, they started keying on me, some things up another round, and then made another carry. We were just moving. So we got like to the 4, and we never forget, we had a couple opportunities. At first down, I think one went up the field to Mike McCoy. 2, we tried a little, second down, we tried like a little drag route with Hughes. He got caught there like in the 2. Something like that, and it was like very down. And I remember the play that Mike ran, I was on the other side, and I just remember beating, my DB. And luckily, I guess the coaches saw that, and they were like, let's put it, call it to the other side. It's kind of like our special play we want to run anyway. So we have been practicing this situation. So I just remember breaking the huddle, and we kind of have this kind of top secret information. But we have, I just have to communicate with JP because he won't me to, take one way and then come back because he's going to be open either way. But John Parker let it on, and we just kept rolling. I was like, this is it. And so, at that point, you just want to beat the DB off the line. So I gave him a good little inside, 2-3 jab inside, just broke outside, and so the offensive line did an excellent job, protected, and great snap. John Parker threw an alley-oop perfect, I think, because he was getting pressure off the end. I think they jumped off sides on that play.
They did.
For us to have that discipline and still make the play and execute it, pandemonium.
Yeah.
Still see some pictures. A lot of people have still shots, but to see the still shot from the crowd's reaction, everybody was just like, oh my gosh, like, it's like it's something off a movie,
Right.
Well,
that wasn't exactly an uncontested catch either. I mean, you had to work for that one on the way down.
You did.
Had to work back for the ball and try to, go up for the ball before the DB came around. But, made the catch, got up, and it was just, I got up and makes you guys get confident again. All these big 300, I'm on the bottom of the pound, losing my breath every 300 pounder
Yeah, I always wondered who started the trend of just beating the ever-living hell out of you after you make a good play. Because I always hated that coming in, coach, just start knocking the shit out of my head. I'm like, hey, man, calm down.
It pretty like this. I still got to get to the sideline because I knew I was from underneath that mound. And I was able to catch my breath because when you got guys jumping on it, you guys jumping on the pile. So
if you've ever been in one of those piles, the next time you see one of those happen and you're a part of it, you're that dude that's jumping on at the end. Like you're just waiting back there. It's scary under there.
It's fun times, it just goes to show you, how Coach Saban compares how we execute it. We believe we can win any type of game. So, we might hit some lows throughout the year that year, but I think we were able to finish strong versus Colorado and to that championship run. The year after that, 08, the Lily with McElroy going back to DC. A lot of people look back to that Arkansas game as kind of a pivotal moment.
To that specific play, even.
Even to that specific play, if you buy it, we can make things happen. So.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I know I was an extremely excited fan on that day, buddy. whew, I was probably toe up by the time we got to the end of that game.
I would say
Because, after we come out to the big lead, it's party time, and then all of a sudden the lead starts slipping away and the whiskey starts going in. You're like, oh, no.
Those are the voice type games, but that's what makes football, man. It's like no other theater. Like you don't find anything. That's why you play the game. So,
a lot of people like to see blowouts all the time or whatever, but it's great to blow people out. But as a fan, man, there's nothing better than that last-second victory. I don't care what. I mean, that is the best feeling.
The games you remember the most fondly were probably the most miserable to sit through and watch because you were losing the whole time and you get that final play or whatever.
Yeah.
Brutal. But, as long as Alabama comes out on top, that's all right.
That's right. And speaking of coming out on top, you got a prediction for today's score?
Ooh, I think it's going to be like 34. 30, let's go. I go 38.
38-20. I like that.
Okay.
Man, that's actually really close to Vegas's projection, too.
That would be a cover.
If you didn't look that up, that's pretty daggum good, by the way.
38-20. I just think Alabama needs to jump up. If we can just jump up. First one, this type of game, if you can get to 21 first, you kind of, really kind of force Arkansas to do what they don't want to do, throw the ball a lot.
Right.
So you kind of pin their ears back. So if we can just do that, if we can just start fast, and then we can kind of get them in some predictable changes and, tendencies on offense, I think that can really go a long way and really help out, running game.
Not bad. Well, we got somebody else coming in with an 18-point victory there on the screen, too, so that sounds like it's going to be the number.
31-13. I like that.
I like 31-13. Yeah, I think what we've got to do is we've got to shut down the running game while covering Burks, which is kind of hard to do both at the same time, but that's really what we got to do early.
Well, LSU did it last week. They limited Burks to 16 yards.
Yeah, I think we got the places. I think we're going to do a little bit more. It's probably, we haven't showed much offensively as defensively on tape to really have opposing coordinators really confused. So I think we're kind of saving that for the season.
We are going to need that at some point. If we handle business and get to Atlanta, we're going to need to pull out all the stops. It looks like right now that team.
Yeah.
Have you watched Georgia much this year? What's your opinion on that team? Do you see any weaknesses?
No, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth.
Me either. I've already done that every week, so.
Georgia's, they're a good team. They're very disciplined. You can't. Their defense is chill and structured business, amazing things. But I will say it's different over there because they haven't had to go through the offensive gauntlet like we have over here in West. We've had to go through Jimbo and Kiffin, different types of offenses that really structure defense. I feel like it's a little bit more vanilla over there, if that makes sense.
The offenses over here are built to beat Saban. They're trying to learn how to beat that Saban thing, and Kirby is a clone on defense of what Saban ran during his years here. So, yeah, I agree with you that those offenses are a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, and people are raving about, their players, their defense, but I'm like, just the Alabama is right there. We got to play a lot more harder offensive coordinators, offensive teams,
Heck, y'all shut down the two best ones.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm not gonna say they're gonna have holes, but I think the pressure would be more on Georgia than
Sure.
Because what do they do? It's gonna drive Kirby nuts trying to figure out what he has to do. He's gonna have to try to take a page out of the SEC West offensive playbook to try to scheme all this stuff. But if you do that, you throw the risk of not sticking to it. It's just a lot. So I think all the pressure is on him. But
Alabama I'm not even going to jump ahead to that. I'm just going to focus on Arkansas and us trying to beat the Hogs and, you know, getting ready to get a victory, hopefully in the Iron Bowl. And then once we get to Georgia, then we can have this conversation again for sure.
I like the sound of that. I hope we get to Georgia, number one.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing right now is that you got a lot of people who act like it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to be in the SEC championship and playing Georgia. And given how we've had some problems this year, I think we just got to look at every opponent one game at a time. And it's really irresponsible to look ahead because this part of our schedule, man, this isn't a gimme like Georgia's part of the schedule where they're playing West Texas Library College and then they're going to Georgia Tech. So
we've been in dogfights, man. I'm sorry, like we've been in some just dogfights, like whether it's just a quarter here, a game here, like the LSU game was a dogfight. This will probably be another dogfight. I think we'll be a little bit more prepared. I think Arkansas will be a little bit more prepared as opposed to how they went into Athens. So, I mean, we've been in some dogfights, but I don't see Georgia's been in dogfights like that. It's when you've been in dogfights and you had to grind and go get it. I feel like that's what makes your team special. Hopefully, we take care of business today, and next week we'll be able to, hopefully peak at the right time and make a run in this postseason.
So, objective question: do you think that a lot of our dogfights have been self-inflicted?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's been mental errors. It's been, not executing all the way, but a lot of times it's just football, man. That's just football. It's just you're playing against other scholarship guys as well, and so plus this is a different team, and people got to understand like the Alabama standard is still there, but it's a different team. You got younger guys; they're still learning and understanding everything. So the only way you can get the experience and the knowledge and all that stuff that you need is going through the fire. And so we've been in some fiery dogfights, and hopefully it all pays off today, and we can just, get a good victory today and focus on next week and going against a good challenge and always in Auburn on the Plains and just building off that momentum and stringing along some victories here.
No, absolutely.
Matt, that's not the plains anymore. We refer to it affectionately as the Native American burial grounds, where they have all those spirits buried that come out.
They're so lucky there, man. It's crazy, but yeah, that's a challenge in itself. So yeah, people don't understand. Like it's something Georgia doesn't have. Like the way a team plays Alabama is not going to be the same the way they play Georgia. No. I'm just saying, people just bring their A game when it comes to Alabama. So, I mean, we have to understand that and embrace it and know that we're getting everybody's best shot and use that as confidence to execute and do better on the field for sure.
Well, we've definitely had more of a challenge this year for sure. That's true. Georgia had one challenge early in the year. They played one defense that was motivated, and if they hadn't scored on defense, they might have lost that game. That was Clemson right off the cuff. Mm-hmm. Since then, though, I think Georgia's figured out their offense a little bit more, but I still think we can beat them. But, again, I always got on my crimson glasses.
I know. I mean, I just think Alabama just needs to win, take care of Arkansas, take care of Auburn. And I think if we do that, then we can start really dissecting Georgia.
Absolutely.
And really focusing on them. But right now, we just need to be focused on Arkansas. What do we need to do to win and improve and get better week in and week out? So when we do play Georgia, we'll be probably one of our better versions of ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, one thing I definitely got to say about you when it comes to waiting and putting in your time and doing all the right things, you definitely were one of the perfect embodiments of that, because I don't know if you remember this back in 2003 when you were doing those freshman workouts at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. with Coach Pollard. Oh, yeah. I was in there. I was one of the student assistants, so I remember watching you and to see your growth in your Alabama career was absolutely amazing. And then the ultimate cherry on the top was when it came full circle your senior year. So it meant a lot to me to see what you did. And it's a great message and a testimony for these kids that are coming up who are having to fighting the battle to get on the field. So I definitely appreciate, your message and your testimony. That's definitely going to make a difference to other players coming up.
Yeah, man, just that commitment, that perseverance goes a long way. And, a lot of times the grass is not always greener on the other side. And a lot of times in life, once you commit to something, man, you just have to stick it out, the good or the bad, and just learn how to embrace it and just make the best of your situation, because that's just a part of life. So, I mean, you look at Mac Jones. Mac Jones stuck it out, and I mean, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
it just goes, sometimes you just have to stick things out and just, be a man of your word and be committed to the task at hand, regardless if you're not seeing instant satisfaction, instant, recognition or whatnot. So.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Smith had like 100 yards in his freshman year and won the Natty.
Yep.
He didn't even really start playing until later in the year. The receivers this year seem like they're getting a little antsy about getting on the field. I think when they're ready, they'll be out there, and if they get the opportunity, I'm pretty confident they'll be able to do it. I just hope to keep the right attitude.
Yeah, and that's just part of the program, the coaches and the staff that Coach Saban has. I'm quite sure they're keeping those guys involved and locked in. It's challenging and this type of generation of players, but I mean, everybody wants everything now, and then if they're not starting to see the results right now, it can be a little frustrating. And but they just got to continue to stay true to it, and there's just so many more examples out there of people just sticking things out and how it just benefits them in the long run.
No, without a doubt. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on today. I mean, we really enjoyed having you on, especially for this game, and also, talk about the memories you had. That was such a special time. Before I let you go, man, is there anything we can plug for you? How can fans find you on social media? All that good stuff.
They just hit me up on Twitter, mcaddell6. I don't do much on social media anymore, but
you're growing.
I'm always on Twitter. I love Twitter. I mean, Facebook is cool, but Facebook can get kind of tiring. So Twitter is kind of my way to get my social media. So I'm always there looking up NFL stuff or whatever. So mcaddell6 if you want to reach out to me for sure.
Well, that's fantastic, Matt. It's been a pleasure to meet you. I mean, you're one of my favorite players on our team during those years, and it's just been very awesome for you to come on here. Thank you for coming and giving our little show some legitimacy. And, man, roll Tide.
Roll Tide, man. RTR, let's help the team win today versus Arkansas. We're going to need it.
Yes,
that's right.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Well, we'll see you later, Matt. If you're ever in the Charlotte or the Tampa area, please reach out to us. We followed you on Twitter there. Send Week 0 a little message, and we'll take you out to hell of a dinner.
Awesome. Thank you, man. And y'all have enjoyed the holiday season with your family.
You too,
well, bud.
Bye-bye, Matt. Thank you, man.
No problem.
Not bad stuff, guys. Little sound quality issues there sometimes through it, but they seem to improve toward the end.
Everything was crystal clear towards the end. I was like, man.
Oh, yeah. Clear, like really good.
So as we found out, anytime the climate control pops on in my office here, it really screws everything up. So I started muting myself in between everything I said, and everybody else got clearer. So we'll have to talk to Restream about getting that straightened out. But thanks for hanging in there for that guest. That was awesome. What are you guys' thoughts on what Matt had to say?
Oh, I mean, he's absolutely right. We have to get back to playing Bama football, and these 2 weeks don't get any bigger.
No,
so we have to have the right mindset, and those guys have got to be ready to go. Also, man, it's senior day. Don't get any bigger for those seniors.
I'm gonna cut you off right now, as is tradition, and I know our guy Petty right there starting to feel a little bit not so good. So before he goes, we gotta just do a quick Ole Miss talk, and then we'll let you go, buddy. Got Ole Miss. They got Vandy coming to town. I guess this is senior day over there. You're a 35.5-point favorite, Petty. Are there any keys to the game? Is it possible to cover that against this putrid Vanderbilt team?
It's possible to cover if Ole Miss was trying to cover. If Ole Miss wasn't playing State next week, if this game was the second game of the season, I'd be saying back the Brinks trucks up. Ole Miss is going to play Corral through the midway through the fourth quarter because they're going to want to get him the stats. It's right before Mississippi State that I see us. I do think Matt may go into the third quarter because I do think Lane really wants to get him some stats if he can.
Sure.
But if there's any sign of Matt getting hit at any time, I think he's going to pull the plug. I actually don't think Ole Miss covers this line today, and we are huge. Shit, this is starting to hurt. We're huge fade Vandy people here.
Unless they're playing a powerful offense that everybody's going to be betting on, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think Ole Miss just kind of pulls the plug here. And I think Vandy probably scores late to make it get within 30-something. But I think Ole Miss kicks the shit out of them pretty easily.
Nice. Well, we need to get a... Go ahead. We need to get a really big get well soon banner to go right over the top of the screen for you there, Petty, because you've been a trooper today. Yeah, and we appreciate you hanging in there with us because I know it's not been easy.
No, and I appreciate it, man. I'm not going to lie. I almost didn't make it through the Matt interview. I about pulled the plug halfway through it because this is the longest I've set up right since Wednesday. So I'm about to go lay down.
I heard that, man. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we will wind this thing down, and we'll catch you shortly. I'm going to talk to you before these games start because I need to talk gambling.
That's right. I'll be like, I can lay down and talk. So hey, roll Tide and Hotty Toddy to all my peoples out there.
Roll Tide, Hotty Toddy, and our pilot friend can call Petty now since he's off the show, right?
give me a minute, crying.
All right, man. We'll see you next week, Petty.
All right, bud.
All right, Justin. We've got a couple more games left just to run through. One of them is this Alabama game, and I got to get your keys to the Bama game first thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. First of all, I got to say, guys, this is a measuring stick for Alabama right now. A lot of people are saying, hey, we've been looking better defensively each game. We're starting to get it together. However, to be honest with you, that we hadn't really been tested, but today we're going to be tested. My keys to Alabama's victory, first and foremost, we got to win the line of scrimmage, man. That's the biggest glaring need. Doug Marrone needs to make sure he has the lineup in there that's going to get it done because these Hogs are pretty scary up front. So one of the best matchups of the day is going to be
lucky for us. There's only 3 of them coming at you most plays, which is good.
Yes, because they drop 8. But
yes.
those guys,
they'll
get
you.
Some horses.
Yep.
Matchup of the day, like I was saying, be watching NFL prospects here. Evan Neal versus Trey Williams. Evan Neal has not surrendered any sacks. He's only given up 3 pressures. And Trey Williams is actually ranks as one of the best in the country right now in quarterback pressures. So be watching that matchup. Key number 2, match Arkansas's intensity. You know, this week, if you've been following along with the press conferences, hasn't been the best week of practices. Nick Saban had to get on to, the players regarding entitlement and being in their feelings, the quote-unquote poor me's. And this is a game where, this is not the Arkansas of old, like we said. You got to be dialed in.
Motherfucker Jones is back this week. He says RPOs and screens. I like that against this defense.
Can we please run some screens? Because they're going to be dropping 8, and the deep ball is not going to be there. So we're going to have to get the mid-range ball going. Of course, one of the biggest things is be fundamentally sound and disciplined, especially in regards to KJ Jefferson. As a matter of fact, please put Christian Harris on him as a spot. Don't put Henry Toto because that man will whiff like crazy. And like I mentioned earlier, to Matt, this is a game where Jaleel Billingsley needs to be a game changer again because they're going to be keen on Jamison Williams. We need the other guy to step up, and it's time for him to show up.
Well, I'm right there with you on every one of those, and I'll even add a little bit to it. You said, the line of scrimmage, and then you talked about our offensive line. I really believe that our defensive line has got to stop the run without extra players in the box. All right, we need additional guy out there on Burks to keep that passing game. They don't really have a good passing game, but if they can get the ball over to that guy, and we've seen every quarterback that plays Alabama might as well be Steven Garcia. You know what I mean? They're going to have their best game, and I just want to make sure we're able to get the run stopped without having to commit a lot of people to the box. Second, cover Burks. All right, I think our offense is going to be fine today. I think our offense is going to be able to put points up. It's the defensive side. I don't want to get into a boat race with these guys.
Absolutely. You bring up a very good point. Arkansas actually is ranked 6th nationally, number 2 in the SEC in regards to the run.
Mm-hmm. That's what they do. And when they played Georgia stopped the run, and they didn't score a single point. I'd like to see our defense put up a performance like that today.
Hey, matter of fact, this dial it back a little bit. There was a time when we played the number 3 team rushing nationally, and that was Ole Miss, and we held them to 73 yards. Mm-hmm. Can we do that again today? We're going to have to.
Look, I'm going to tell you this: the Ole Miss team and the Arkansas team schematically are very close to each other. So, we could pull out that game plan and probably make some hay on that one.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Well, can I get that final score prediction?
Well, one other thing I'd like to see, since we're down to walk-on players and flag football guys.
At running back?
At running back, I really would like to see Bill O'Brien, of course, B-Rob's going to be B-Rob. Use him, but also let's get Trey Sanders in. Let's get him some touches, give him some looks, but also can we throw an extra wrinkle in there maybe and have some packages with Jalen Milroe at running back or quarterback?
This is why I think he'd be fantastic, but I don't want to do it because Paul Tyson ain't the guy, and I do not want our season's fate in Paul Tyson's hands. So that's the only hesitation I have to the Milroe situation. I do think that he would be as good a running back as we've got on the field right now back there, but I think he's better at us for quarterback if we were to lose Bryce.
But listen, man, you got to throw him in there. I think just to have an added wrinkle. That if you watched him up close, that dude is quick twitch, just explosive. And if you put him in, man, they're going to have to respect the run and the pass.
I think we both feel the same way about this one. Are you going to take that one, or you want me to?
I'd rather not.
If you we might as well put Evan Neal back there if we're going to put Slade Bolden back there, because I think they have about the same 40 time, right?
You know what? Let's put Will Anderson back there because. All due respect to Slade Bolden, he's a great possession guy. He's a guy that works hard, but he is not known for speed.
He's a great possession guy until somebody pays him to slap down a couple balls. I don't know how that happened. Like, when you're that guy, you never drop the ball. You never miss it. And he's missed a few this year that were right there. But, again, Slade's a great player, does all the right things. I just don't think he's fast enough to break anything away to be back in our backfield.
Right. So I'm not sure exactly why we're going that route, but hey, there's a reason why Coach Saban has won 7 national championships. So
I don't think Slade fumbles very much, so that's a good thing. He
doesn't do that. He doesn't do that.
Yeah. So that may be what it is. In
regards to score, I got a feeling today that it's going to be a lot closer than it should be.
Petty's still watching there. He wanted to say, Jim Rat, bringing lunch pail. All the yeah, I think that's everybody's thoughts, Mr. Jones. That did not. I don't think that inspired the Bama fan base when we heard that Slade Bolden was practicing at running back.
Score today: Alabama 31, Arkansas 21.
31-21. That's close. I don't like that.
Unless we're now. Listen, if everything's clicking, yes, in game 11 finally clicking, we're on all cylinders. We played to the Bama standard, which we can do. It's not going to be close.
Oh yeah, no, it shouldn't be. And look, just as a handicapping it, trying to take off my crimson glasses and everything, looking at what's happened when they've hit similar styles of defense and everything like that, I don't think Arkansas gets over 10 points in this game, and I don't think Bama has a lot of trouble scoring. Having said that, the 21.5 line is probably about 0.5 too much, but I'm going to take Bama anyway because I don't pick against Bama. That's dumb.
Can I get your thoughts on something, though?
Sure.
Arkansas, of course, traditionally drops 8, so they don't really specialize in getting pressure on quarterbacks. Do you think Arkansas changes up their defensive scheme at all today because our offensive line has been susceptible?
It wouldn't be the first time. Here's the thing. It wouldn't be the first time that they've done that. I've seen them in a couple of games really blitz a lot. Okay? I do think they're going to try that against us in this one. I really do. I think they're going to try. I think pressure is probably the only hope that they have to try to slow down our passing game. In a running game situation, we're short on running backs. There's a good chance that, we're not super successful on the ground just because of that. You know what I mean? So they may be able to just focus on that dropping 8 situation.
Are we not super successful in the running game today because Bill O'Brien tries to force the pass, or is it because the Arkansas genuinely shuts it down? I think
here's the thing. If I'm one of those guys that if you run the ball twice and you don't get any yards, you need to start throwing it a little bit more. You know what I mean? And we've had that situation a lot this year where we've got inside the 5-yard line and ran it, nothing, ran it, nothing, ran it, nothing. And then we were like, okay, we'll try passing 3 times. Well, there's probably a combination in there that would work.
Well, that's what I said earlier. Get the screen game going. Loosen them up a little bit.
Yes, love to see it on this 3-2-6. I mean, we have harped on the 3-2-6 all year as it being not really the right defense for the SEC. I'm hoping that that's how it pans out. Yeah, they won't drop all day. It'll look a lot like the 3-3. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, Petty, and I agree with you. When you guys played them, they brought a lot of heat. When it was Ole Miss versus Arkansas, that was one of the games where they blitzed a lot. They blitzed a lot against Georgia, but Georgia just ran it at them and ran past their blitzes, so it didn't matter. Right. So, we'll see. I really think we're probably going to pitch pretty close to a shutout today. I see our defense getting better every single week, and it's because of Will Anderson on the side over there. He's leading the team. He's brought that dog mentality that we've been wanting all year, and everybody's starting to pick it up, and I'm just hoping that it continues.
Hey, not only Will Anderson, but look at Dallas Turner.
15. Oh yeah, buddy. God, since we got him in there, that was the other key. Who was our? God, it's been so long. Who was our original linebacker that played opposite over there that we lost in the first game of the year?
Oh, Chris Allen.
Chris Allen. We have not had the kind of production we needed since that first game over there. Since Chris Allen went out, till Dallas Turner starts coming in and running over there. He is what we needed. 100% in. He has won that job in my mind.
And if you look at Will Anderson's success these past 3 games, I think a lot of it is due in part to Dallas Turner coming on strong. Now offenses are having to account for him as well. So we're about to see Will Anderson go even more Terminator mode. And Dallas Turner is looking like he's going to be the guy. And Drew Sanders may not be back in the lineup.
I'm telling you. He's gotten better too, okay? He's gotten more aggressive throughout the year. He just wasn't quite ready to be on the field. Yeah, I think Drew Sanders is going to be a stud before it's all said and done. He just wasn't quite ready to be on the field. Dallas Turner's been ready. It looks like that dude's ready to play football, buddy. He's aggressive. You don't see the quarterback standing back there and him deciding whether or not he's going to go after him like you saw with Drew Sanders a few times, kind of being deer in headlights. Yeah, he's gone. He's an attacker. He's got that Dante Hightower mentality, just like a attack dog, and I love it. So I'm excited to see this. I think our defense is coming together right now. Our offense has kind of always been together, but clunky. I'm hoping we can smooth that out a little bit on these last couple games, because I think what I'm seeing in this team is optimism for me.
Right.
All right. Well, we've got one more game to cover for our Auburn fans out there. Have you paid attention to this one at all? We got Auburn heading over to South Carolina, and this game started out as a 9.5 Auburn line, and it's been bet down to 7.5. I want to get your take on that. You know what's going on with South Carolina, how they've been all year. They have been coming on a little bit more later toward the end of the year, but do you think that they can hang with Auburn?
Well, I'm kind of questioning where Auburn's head is right now. What kind of mentality they have? Of course, they just lost Bo Nix. He was their guy, so you kind of.
I think that's a positive.
I think it's a positive too, because
I think that backup's better.
With T.J. Finley, you got a guy who's going to sit in the pocket. He's not going to try to run backwards to try to save a play. He's just going to fire it in there. Now, he can be a little bit of a gambler when it comes to his throws.
He can spray him a little bit occasionally too.
I like what he can do, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Auburn team shows up against South Carolina. South Carolina, like you said, has been up and down all year. They're trying to turn the corner, and I thought that they were possibly turning the corner this season towards possibly getting a bowl bid after they beat Florida, but then the next week they drop a head scratcher to Missouri.
Right.
So you got to kind of wonder, where's South Carolina going to be in this?
Well, for all our gamblers out there, I'm going to point out a little something for you. And I hate to tell this secret because once it gets out, it's not going to work anymore. But if you look at NFL or college football, whenever there is a key player that leaves the game, the public overreacts to that majorly. I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't care who's out of the game. Some main player's out. Public overreacts, line overreacts. I believe that Auburn wins this by 2 touchdowns or more very easily. And I think that they're all going to be real happy with Mr. Finley by the end of the day.
Oh, and if Auburn fans, if you watched the LSU South Carolina game last year, Mr. Finley was the starting quarterback for that game, and he went off. So he knows what to do against the South Carolina defense. So I feel like he's going to be very comfortable today. So
I've got to get your opinion on something right here, and this is a little bit off the football topic, so I apologize to everybody out there. But is there a chance that our guy Petty really just bowed out because he wanted to get his shirtless picture up on the avatar down there?
I think that's fully the reason why he did it.
That's what it was. He wasn't even hurting. He's just trying to get that. He's just trying to show everybody that physique, right?
Oh, and the Nick Lachey hair.
Right, and his where did you get enough gel to do that, buddy, right? Oh, that's what happens when you leave us, Petty. You see, you leave 2 people out here talking about you, and you can't take up for yourself. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. All right, so, well, guys, we got anything else for him today, Justin? You got any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts, I mean, just keep it simple. Alabama, be Alabama today. Do what you got to do. Close out this season the correct way. Get that ticket punched to Atlanta. And leave no doubt.
Right. No, that's right. Leave no doubt. It's time to be the Bama team that we need you to be. It's becoming the end of the year. It's time. Right?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and put everything else behind us. Yes, it's been a frustrating year. We're seeing things we're not accustomed to as Bama fans. But today, let's put all that behind. The season starts today, and let's finish it out right.
Ole Miss, just handle business out there today. Just win the game. You got a big game next week. You've got the Egg Bowl. I'm going to be with my Ole Miss fan family to watch the Egg Bowl, and then I'm going to be with my Alabama fan family to watch the Iron Bowl next weekend. So I'm incredibly excited. I don't know how we're going to pull off the Saturday morning cocktail kickoff unless Justin does it on his own and brings us in, because I think a lot of us are out. But we will do our best to get that out for you guys, and we may even come in with a little bit of a preview for this Iron Bowl and this Egg Bowl next week. So stay tuned. Make sure you are subscribed. Also, hit like on this video if you don't mind. It helps us out a lot. It helps other people find us, and you'll have more people talking and a much better show next week, the more people that are watching. So like, subscribe, tell your friends.
Also, guys, tune in to the Bama Standard next Tuesday night on my channel, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. A big Iron Bowl preview show. We're going to have a blowout for you. Trent Richardson is confirmed to be on, and he will be bringing some friends, so you definitely want to tune in. Last year's show was great. We have players from both sides, and we may have that again, but you won't know until you tune in.
Tuesday nights, 7:30. Is that right? My time? 6:30 your time?
6 p.m. my time, 7 p.m. Eastern your time.
Awesome.
So, yeah, definitely be in our audience. Matter of fact, let's set an audience record next Tuesday night. Be there.
Next Tuesday night. I'll be there. I'll be there with my smart-ass comments on the side. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We can't wait to see you next week. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. And hotty toddy out there for all you guys, and even a War Eagle. Yikes, can't believe I said that. Not next week. You won't get that. You guys aren't getting that next week. All right, see ya.
See ya.
Whoops. Almost forgot our little, never forget your sponsors.